welcome everyone to our class. Hare Krishna, welcome everyone to our class on the Nectar of Devotion. uh, we have done this summary study of the Nectar of Devotion. This is a book written by ISKCON's founder acharya A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ji. And for last, I think 6 months or so, we have been engaged with a group of devotees in a deep study of this book, first 19 chapters. We have completed our study, and now, in order to reinforce these concepts, we have issued a quiz. Uh, this is the fifth quiz in this course, based on chapter number 15 to chapter number 19. Participants have written their answers, and now today we will be discussing those questions in this class. I will start the Mangalacharan prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guroh Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तु ते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. So let us start the discussion. This is a quiz based on chapter number 15 to chapter 19 of Nectar of Devotion, book written by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The first question is correct definition of Ragatmika Bhakti. Use the correct definition of Ragatmika Bhakti. Bhakti whose very nature is natural, intense, spontaneous attraction for Lord Krishna. Bhakti which is performed according to orders of scriptures or Guru as a matter of obligation. Bhakti which is performed when a ray of pure love of God has awakened in the heart. Bhakti which is performed when pure love of God has fully awakened in the heart. So, what is the correct answer?
It's A, Prabhu.
A.
Yes, the correct answer is A. Bhakti whose very nature is natural, intense, is spontaneous attraction for Lord Krishna. So that is the definition of Ragatmika Bhakti. Now, what is the option B? Which Bhakti is this? Option B, which is performed according to the orders of scriptures or Guru as a matter of obligation. Which Bhakti is this?
Vaidhi sadhana.
Vaidhi sadhana bhakti.
Vaidhi Sadhan
Vaidhi.
Bhakti. Vaidhi Sadhan Bhakti. Huh? And then option C, bhakti which is performed when a ray of pure love of God has awakened in the heart.
Bhava bhakti.
This
Bhava.
is this is bhava bhakti. And option D, bhakti which is performed when pure love of God has fully awakened in the heart. Which one is this?
Prema bhakti. Prema
this
bhakti.
is this is prema bhakti. Now in this particular question, you have kind of, I mean, more or less, except raganuga bhakti, we have not defined here in raganuga bhakti. But B, C, and D gives you a contrast of how the various types of bhaktis are there. Vaidhi sadhan, this is bhav, and this is prema bhakti. So option A is the correct one for ragatmika bhakti. Now we will go to the definition of Raganuga Bhakti. Raganuga Bhakti is defined as dash. Following in the footsteps of Ragatmika Bhaktas, following in the footsteps of Vaidhi Bhaktas, following in the footsteps of Bhava Bhaktas, and following in the footsteps of Sadhan Bhaktas. So, what is the correct answer?
Yeah, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So the correct answer is A. Following in the footsteps of Ragatmika Bhaktas. So what is the meaning of this word Rag Anuga? Raga Anuga?
They are followers of Ragatmika devotees,
Okay.
Brijvasis.
Yeah. So how will you do the Sandhi Vichhed? Sandhi Vichhed of this word?
Anurag.
Not Anurag. It is Anuga. Rag plus Anuga. And when we
Meaning,
you yes Ishwar Prabhu.
Raga means spontaneous attraction or a
Ha,
thirst for the object of love.
yes. Yeah. And what is Anuga?
Anuga means follower, I think.
Anuga means follower. Correct. Anuga means follower. So, as I would say, as I've been repeating all the while, whenever you have to learn the definition, just try to meditate and focus upon the word itself, whose definition you are learning. And when you try to understand the meaning of the word, you will automatically come to the definition. For example, let us go to the previous question. Rag Atmika. So, what are the two words in this Rag Atmika?
Raga plus
Atmika.
Rag plus Atmika, right? Now, whose Atma is Rag? Whose very essence, whose very existence is actually Rag for the object of love, for Lord Krishna. So these are known as Ragatmika Bhaktas. Their whole existence, their whole Atma actually is Rag for Lord Krishna. So they are known as Ragatmikas. And Raganugas are those who are followers of Ragatmikas. So Anuga means follower. We have another word in our society which is known as Rupanuga. Rupanuga. So can you guess what is the meaning of Rupanuga?
रूप के अनुसरण करने वाले
रूप के अनुसरण करने वाले, बट रूप कौन है यहाँ पर? रूप कौन है?
रूप श्री कृष्ण
नहीं नहीं, रूप यहाँ पर श्री कृष्ण नहीं है. हमारे जो वैष्णव आचार्य हैं, रूप गोस्वामी, whose book is this? Bhakti Samrat Sindhu, this book which we have been studying so far, or we have been studying this Nectar of Devotion by Prabhupada ji, who has done a summary study on this book. So actually this original author's name is Roop Goswami, Srila Roop Goswami. So the followers of Roop Goswami are known as Rupanugas. Followers of Roop Goswami are known as Rupanugas. So we are, those who are in ISKCON or those who are Gaudiya Vaishnavas, they are Rupanugas. They are followers of Roop Goswami. Another similar word is Prabhupada Anugas. Prabhupada Anugas. So accordingly, there is another word, Prabhupada Anuga. So followers of Srila Prabhupada. Followers of Srila Prabhupada. Now Prabhupada, this title has been given to Prabhupada's Guru, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, and Abhay Charanarvind Bhaktivedanta Swami, who is the founder acharya of ISKCON, also has this title of Srila Prabhupada. So Prabhupada Anugas means follower of Prabhupada. So the point I'm trying to make is, because this is a technical book, Nectar of Devotion, Bhakti Samrat Sindhu, and this has a lot of definitions. In order to understand the definition of the word, you simply remember the meaning of the word. Raganuga, Ragatmika, etc. etc. And once you are able to understand the word itself, then the definition automatically flows. That is the some trick to learn this technical subject. Ragatmika Bhakti versus Prema Bhakti. Let us see. Ragatmika Bhakti and Prema Bhakti are one and the same thing. True or false?
True, Prabhuji. True.
True. This is true. So everyone agrees?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes.
So true. So these bhaktas who are Vrajavasis, who are the eternal associates of the Lord Krishna in the spiritual world, they are they have achieved the highest level of bhakti, prema bhakti. So there is no difference between ragatmika bhakti and prema bhakti. There is no difference. Although while describing ragatmika bhakti, the definition is slightly different from prema bhakti because the focus is mainly on explaining raganuga bhakti, and that's why they describe this definition of ragatmika bhakti. Two types of ragatmika bhakti. Identify two types of ragatmika bhakti: Shakti Roop and Bhakti Roop, Vishwaroop and Bal Roop, Nam Roop and Dhyan Roop, Kam Roop and Sambandha Roop. Correct answer?
D.
D.
Correct answer. Sorry, I cannot.
D.
Will you?
D. Kamaroop
D.
and Sambandharoop.
Okay. D for Delhi.
Yes.
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 Prabhuji.
Okay. Kama Roop and Sambandha Roop. Very good. So, can you define what is Kama Roop Ragatmika Bhakti?
So the Kamaroop is something conjugal feelings, like a full relationship to the Lord, and Sambandharoop is something considering by other relationship, like considering Lord as his parents, friend, or something like that.
Yeah. So, it is Ragatmika. Ragatmika means it is Prema Bhakti only. It is the topmost level of Bhakti. But in this topmost level of Bhakti, also, the relationship has flavors.
Mhm.
So the chief relationship is actually conjugal relationship, and the examples of this conjugal relationship is
Meera.
gopis, queens of Dwarka, like that. So this is in the feeling of madhurya. And other than this, we have sambandh rupa, like Manish ji mentioned, in the mood of parents or in the mood of friendship. So that is sambandh rupa. Sambandha Rupa Ragatmika Bhakti. So here the correct answer is Kama Rupa. All other A, B, C options that were given, they were mainly to sound identical but to confuse. So they have nothing to do with any definition or so.
Prabhuji, I want to clarify whether or not can we add a teacher also into this sambandha besides father, brother, relations. Can a teacher also be included? Because sometimes we get the same feeling for for the teacher also. Sometimes it is very intense. I have a personal experience
Mhm.
of having such a teacher whose memory excites, starts giving me tears and other bodily changes. I don't know. I
Mhm.
certainly, while reading this thing, I thought that I must share this information with you.
Yeah. Now we don't listen about the specific relationship of a teacher, but as you would know from Bhagavad Gita, where Lord Krishna and Arjuna, both of them were having this relationship of friends,
Yes,
but Lord Krishna actually took the role of a teacher also in that relationship.
yes,
So a
Prabhu.
parent can also take that role of teacher, and even in the conjugal relationship also, uh, they can take the role of teacher. That is my understanding. Maybe I have to also check uh, this particular thing maybe with some other devotees, but I think the role of teacher can be taken up uh, in at least in these relationships, like in friendship, in parental relationship. Certainly parents are already by default teachers. Like Yashoda Mai would teach Krishna not to behave in a certain way. She would even use stick to scold Lord Krishna. And I would say maybe in the conjugal relationship also, the role of teacher can be done. In servitorship, maybe that role of teacher may not be possible, or in a very authoritative way, in a advisory way, probably it is possible in a role of servant also, like maybe giving suggestions in that way. And but role of teacher is a little more authoritative and little more heavy. The word guru itself means heavy, so I'm not very sure whether it can be applied in the relationship of servitorship also, dasya also. But certainly in three roles like conjugal and parental and friendship, the role of teaching or teacher can be taken up.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah. Correct examples of ragatmika bhakti. Which of the following options are considered as an example of ragatmika bhakti? In this case, in this question, more than one option may be correct. Gopis by conjugal affection, Kamsa by fear of death, Shishupal by hatred, Yadus or Vrishnis by relationship, Pandavas by affection, and Narad by bhakti, by the bhakti. So what options? So we have 6 options here, and some of them are correct, some of them are not correct. Out
A
of
and
this
D,
6,
Prabhuji.
A and D.
D.
A and D. Okay.
Yes, Prabhu.
Why B is not correct?
Prabhuji, Bhay and Dvesh, these are not genuine, spontaneous devotion because
Okay.
of unfavorable attitude.
Unfavorable attitude. Very good. Yes. Haji. Aage. These are unfavorable emotions, so rejected. And why Pandavas by affection is rejected?
Pandavas, their bhakti was mixed with awe and reverence,
Awe and
which
reverence.
which restrained them by formality and etiquettes.
Very good. Yes. Yes. बहुत बढ़िया. Very nice, Prabhuji. So and Narad,
Narada, there was a sense of duty.
there was sense of duty. ये तो already by default Vaidhi bhakti है, where
Uh,
we are already doing it fully out of sense of duty, awe and reverence. ये तो
yes.
पांडवास में तो मिक्सचर है, और ये नारद जी का तो पूरा 100% वैसा ही है. ये
Yes.
उसमें तो एटिकेट, ऑ एंड रेवरेंस, ये तो इट इज फुल्ली देयर. नारद बाय भक्ति, which is Vaidhi bhakti, it is completely in that category of awe and reverence. So, and why A and D? Gopis by conjugal affection, because
ये अभी पढ़ाई है प्रभु जी
अभी
रागात्मिका
पढ़ाई
भक्ति
है
के बारे
रागात्मिका भक्ति,
में।
और ओके, यदु और विष्णु का रिलेशनशिप. वेरी गुड. सो करेक्ट आंसर इज ए एंड डी. वेरी नाइस प्रभु, वेरी गुड आंसर.
Prabhuji, one
Yes.
small observation.
Yes,
This
Prabhu.
also answers why Guru cannot be a Raganuga Bhakti, because there'll be awe and reference in a Guru. You can't have a spontaneous relationship with Guru. There'll be
Yeah.
respect, there'll be awe, there'll also
Correct.
be procedure. Part of Vaidhi is also there in Guru.
Yeah.
Guru
You are
means you
right.
have to serve the rules and regulations.
Rules and regulations. Yes, Prabhu. Very nice. Yes. Vaidhi Bhakti. Very nice observation. Thank you. Yeah. Achieve the same goal. Okay, very good. Okay, let us proceed. Achieve the same goal. Did Gopis, Kamsa, or Shishupal achieve the same goal? Yes.
नो प्रभु जी
No. So the correct answer is no. Now you need to explain what goal did Gopis achieved and what goal did Kamsa and Shishupal achieved.
कंसा एंड शिशुपाल प्रभु जी दे अटेंड द एब्सोल्यूट ट्रुथ बट नॉट गोलोक वृंदावन
Mhm.
gopis entered the palace of the god
Mhm. Okay.
and kansa and shishupal entered only kingdom of the god.
Kingdom of the god. So when we say kingdom of the god, means only Brahma Jyoti,
Only Brahm Jyoti.
only impersonal liberation they received.
Yes, Prabhu.
And Gopi actually entered into the Leelas of the Lord, personal abode of the Lord. And they got the service of the Lord. But Kamsa and Shishupal, because they were inimical towards the Lord, they did not enter the the palace of the Lord, the personal abode of the Lord. Yes. Okay, let us see. Lusty desire in spiritual versus material world. What is the difference between the lusty desire in the spiritual and the material world? In the material world, one wants to gratify his own senses, whereas in spiritual world, one wants to satisfy the senses of the Lord. In the material world, one wants to live long, whereas in the spiritual world, one doesn't want to live. In the material world, one wants to investigate, whereas in spiritual world, one wants to obey the Lord. In the material world, one wants to enjoy material nature, whereas in spiritual world, one wants to enjoy spiritual nature. What is the correct answer?
A.
हे प्रभु
A. In the material world, one wants to gratify his own senses, whereas in spiritual world, one wants to satisfy the senses of the Lord. So this is particularly the difference between the word calm and prem. So when we use the word prem, that is in relationship with the Lord, and when we use the word calm, that is actually in relationship with our satisfying in our own material senses. So the correct answer is A. In material world, one wants to gratify the senses of the Lord. In spiritual world, one wants to gratify the senses of the Lord. So very good. Okay. Identify true statements. Which of the following statements are true? More than one option may be correct. So this is a multiple choice and multiple correct answers type question. The relationship between gopis and Krishna appear to be like dealings of ordinary boy and girl and are commonly misinterpreted. Is this correct or not correct? True or
No.
false?
करेक्ट प्रभु जी
Correct. Correct.
Correct. So generally people understand the relationship between gopis and Krishna to be like dealings of ordinary boy and girl and commonly misinterpreted. ऐसे बहुत बहुत सारे लोग हैं. Gopis' lusty desire for Krishna is simply a way of trying to understand the transcendental situation. So what do you mean
करेक्ट
by this statement? Is this correct?
True. True. Correct.
So how do you explain? How do you explain? Gopis' lusty desire for Krishna is simply a way of trying to understand the transcendental situation. Trying to understand the transcendental situation. So what is the transcendental situation and what are we trying to understand here? And why do we say that lusty desire? Quote unquote.
I think lusty word here connotes, it's not a literal meaning, it's a figurative kind of thing,
Uh-huh.
just to help our basic understanding. And
Uh-huh.
transcendental is some internal, intrinsic connection between the
Gopis
devotee
and
and
Krishna.
God.
Yeah. So very good, very nice answer. So actually, the relationship between gopis and Krishna. So as we saw in the previous question, there is a transcendental lust and there is material lust. Lusty desire in spiritual and material world. So when we try to satisfy the senses of the Lord, that is actually spiritual. And when we try to satisfy our own senses, that is material. Now, we have used the word calm or lusty desire mainly to explain this situation that we are uh, that we are experiencing right now in the relationship between Krishna and gopis. Uh, because when we say lusty desire or calm, So our experience of this kind of emotion in our own lives is that it is actually very, very intense and very, very consuming. It is a very intense emotion, very consuming emotion. Uh, we don't have in our own life experience of even more intense emotion than this lusty desire. So the word lusty desire has been used in relation with gopis and Krishna to explain that gopis have that kind of intensity to serve Lord Krishna, and because their desire is to serve Lord Krishna, actually it is not calm. It is not for own personal sense gratification. So the kind of intense desire we have in calm to satisfy our own senses, the same intensity or even much more intensity the gopis have to satisfy the desire of the Lord. And that is why the word has been used as calm roop or calm. Uh, the word calm has been used. So that is the meaning of trying to understand the transcendental situation. So
But
very good.
Prabhu, using this word will create more confusion to other people, correct? This lusty or calm roop, something will
Yeah,
not have any different impact.
yeah, it will create confusion. That is why the confusion has been clarified by Rup Goswami. That is why the confusion have been clarified.
I think we can take it as a projection of intensity because our personal experience is what we are trying to project in the relationship between gopis and Krishna.
Yeah, yeah. So you can see here when Rup Goswami has given the definition of Kamrup Bhakti, so he has used uh, to verse number 283 to 287. He has used this definition of Kamrup Bhakti, and in verses 284 to 285, he is clarifying. Vraj gopis are the brilliant example of Kamrup Bhakti, which is simply prema or pure love for Krishna without a tinge of material lust. Their particular type of prema has a special sweetness and zeal to please Krishna. It is called calm by the wise because it is the cause of various amorous actions. Amorous actions means, like for example, when you see the relationship between gopis and Krishna, they would dance together or they would embrace each other. The way when we see a boy and a girl in this material world would embrace each other in that kind of mood. So in order to explain that sweetness and zeal to please Krishna, because of these amorous actions, it is known as calm by the wise. So that is the reason it is being called. But in the verses, Rup Goswami is clarifying it is pure love for Krishna without a tinge of material lust. Bhakta also does it, but these are not the defining characteristics of Raganuga Bhakti. No, the defining characteristic of Raganuga Bhakti is this greed for attaining bhav similar to Vrajvasi fixed in Ragatmika Bhakti. Thank you very much. Conviction to follow the rules of the scriptures. Okay. Raganuga devotee in Bhakti ladder. I think this was a challenging question to many of you. At what minimum level in the progressive Bhakti ladder should a Raganuga devotee be situated? Shraddha, beginning of Anarth Nivritti, Nishtha, Bhav. Correct answer is
B for boy.
beginning of
Nishta.
Anarth Nivritti.
C for Nishta.
Yes. Vasudevan Prabhu, can you explain the difference between B and C?
Because in one of the things about Raganuga Bhakti is your Anartha Nivriti has to be, it was almost you don't have Anarthas. You're almost rid of Anarthas completely.
Correct.
So it's actually, Nishta is when after Anartha Nivriti, beginning of Anartha Nivriti means Anartha Nivriti has not happened. There's still a
Yeah,
lot of Anarthas. Then you can't practice Raganuga Bhakti. To
correct.
practice Raganuga Bhakti, you should be devoid of anarthas, and that happens only at the beginning of Nishtha.
Correct. Yes. So Nishtha stage, when somebody has reached Nishtha stage, that means the anarthas almost have gone. More or less, the anarthas are gone. So that is actually the requirement for Raganuga devotee. So in Raganuga Bhakti, there does we don't need to have anarthas in our heart. Uh, Strictly speaking, the anarthas don't go away until bhava stage. Only in prema stage there is no anartha. Even in bhava stage also there are some slight tinge of anarthas may be there. But when we say nishtha, it means primarily more or less the anarthas have gone. So that is why that is the minimum level in the progressive bhakti ladder. Raganuga devotee should be situated at the nishtha stage.
प्रभु जी जो सीक्वेंस आपने बताई थी,
Hmm.
श्रद्धा, साधु संगा, भजन क्रिया, अनर्थ निवृत्ति, निष्ठा, रुचि, आसक्ति.
हाँ, रुचि
तो
आसक्ति, वेरी गुड, सही पहुंच गए आप.
अनर्थ अनर्थ निवृत्ति पहले था निष्ठा से.
हाँ, निष्ठा से पहले अनर्थ निवृत्ति है ना. तो अनर्थ निवृत्ति होगी जब ही तो निष्ठा पर पहुंचेंगे.
What
प्रभु जी, लेकिन
is the
बुक में तो अनर्थ निवृत्ति लिखा है, बिगिनिंग ऑफ अनर्थ निवृत्ति.
नहीं, बिगिनिंग ऑफ अनर्थ निवृत्ति नहीं लिखा होगा, उसमें लिखा होगा
on
अनर्थ निवृत्ति. उसमें लिखा होगा अनर्थ निवृत्ति. बिगिनिंग ऑफ अनर्थ निवृत्ति मतलब अनर्थ तो अभी है ना, अभी तो आप अनर्थ अनर्थ निवृत्त होने के लिए आप आए हैं अभी. तो अनर्थ
तो
निवृत्ति स्टेज के
नहीं,
बाद you would have crossed अनर्थ निवृत्ति. Then
so
you will
your
have.
yeah, correct, but your Raganuga bhakti starts when you start the taking out all your anartha nivrittis, correct? You
Not
start
taking
taking
out, not taking out. You already have taken out. If you have, once you have taken out the anarthas, then only the Raganuga bhakti is possible.
Okay.
आप दोबारा पढ़िएगा जाके एक बार.
Okay, Prabhu. No problem. Okay.
We can discuss once again. But the idea is like Vasudevan Prabhu described, for Raganuga bhakti, you don't need to have anarthas. You should be you should be free from anarthas. There should not be anarthas in your heart. This is something like if you have to draw parallel between Gyan Yoga process and Dhyan Yoga process, like we have been discussing in Bhagavad Gita classes, chapter 18, I think verse number 55 or 54, Brahma Bhut Prasanna Atma. Do you remember? Rakesh
Yes,
ji, do you
Prabhu.
remember? Brahma Bhut Prasanna Atma, na shochati na kankshati. So what definition did we describe about Brahma Bhut Prasanna Atma? What is Brahma Bhut stage? We had elaborate discussion this Wednesday on Brahma Bhut. आपको याद आया कुछ ब्रह्म भूत को लेके हमने क्या डिस्कशन किया था? What is Brahma Bhut stage? Brahma Bhut stage is when our lust, anger, greed, pride, illusion, envy has gone, more or less gone. So Brahma Bhut disregard of rules of or scriptures. It is okay for an advanced devotee to disregard the rules or scriptures. True or false? True or false?
False.
False.
Yes. So what does it mean? However advanced you may be in your devotional activities, at no stage the devotee disregard the rules or scriptures. Always the devotee follows the rules and scriptures. So less advanced, more advanced, very highly advanced, whatever stage you are in your devotional life, rules, regulations, and scriptures have to be followed at every stage, at every step. Raganuga Bhakti practice. How does a Raganuga Bhakta practice bhakti? Strictly serves the spiritual master with love and devotion, lives in Vraja and absorb in the mood of Vrajvasi, having same inclination like one's own. Regularly visit the temple and meditate on the deities with deep absorption and devotion. Serve the devotees with utmost love, care, and devotion. Make sure that there is no offenses done towards the devotees. So, how does a Raganuga Bhakta practice bhakti?
My
Correct
answer
answer?
is
B.
B and C.
B and C.
Yes.
Only B, Prabhu. B.
B, Prabhuji.
Only B. But this question did not have multiple choice, right? Multiple choice
Yes.
means more than one answer. It had only
Then
one.
B.
It
It is
is
B. B.
it is B. Okay. So the correct answer is B. Now we need to understand how does a Raganuga Bhakta practice bhakti, and we need to differentiate between the Vaidhi Bhakta. So Vaidhi Bhakta will also follow the 64 limbs of bhakti. Shravan, Kirtan, accepting Guru, and all the list that is there in Bhaktir Samrat Sindhu. All 64 limbs he will follow. But Raganuga Bhakta also does all these 64 limbs, but he or she becomes much more focused now on doing these activities in relationship to the Vrajvasi he is trying to follow. For example, he is following maybe parental mood like Nanda Maharaj in Vrindavan, in Vraja, in the spiritual world. So he will do more Shravan, more Kirtan, more absorption only related to Nanda Maharaj, his activities, how he deals with Lord Krishna, etc. etc. So lives in Vraja, absorb in the mood of Vrajvasi, having same inclination like one's own. But all other activities will be very similar, like they have been doing while they were Vaidhi Sadhan Bhaktas. So that is the main difference between how Raganuga Bhakta practice bhakti and how practice bhakti. Raganuga Bhakta is much more focused only on the mood of Vrajvasi they are trying to follow. Which behavior is recommended to be followed by a Raganuga Bhakta? Externally as Sadhak Roop, internally as Siddha Roop, internally as Sadhak Roop, externally as Siddha Roop, externally as Siddha Roop only, internally as Siddha Roop only. Correct answer?
A. A.
Hmm. A. So Ishwar Prabhu, would you like to explain to the class what is meant by Sadhak Roop and Siddha Roop, and what is understanding of externally following as Sadhak Roop and internally following as Siddha Roop? By example, you can explain.
Uh, See, Sadhak Roop is, example is Roop Goswami.
Very good.
And Siddha Roop is Roop Manjari.
Roop Manjari. Very good.
This is by following the activity or the mentally following the activity of the devotees.
Yeah.
Rupa Goswami, he follows the sadhana because the bhakti and all.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. So very good, Prabhu. I think you explained it very right, very nicely. See, Siddha Roop means the Ragatmika Bhakta in Vraja, in the spiritual world. So that is Rupa Manjari. But any devotee that we see in the spiritual world has a parallel in the material world also. So Rup Manjari descended as Rup Goswami in the material world, in participating in the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who was Krishna and Radha himself. So in the Leela of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Rup Goswami came. And who is Rup Goswami? Rup Goswami is Rup Manjari in the spiritual world. So when Rup Goswami comes in this material world, he follows a certain standard of sadhana, certain standard of how to practice bhakti. So externally, the Raganuga Bhakta has to follow the standard of Sadhak Roop. Now we are discussing here Rup Manjari and Rup Goswami. It could be another devotee also. He who may have Siddha Roop in the spiritual world and may have sadhak roop in the material world. So externally sadhak roop means our sadhana should be as strong as or try to follow into the footsteps of Rup Goswami when it comes to sadhana. But internal mood of serving should be that of Rup Manjari in the spiritual world. Huh? So that is the behavior recommended to be followed by the Raganuga Bhakta. So now this we discussed in terms of Siddha Pranali. When we were discussing in the class, we were discussing this with respect to Siddha Pranali. Now in Siddha Pranali, what happens is these are some devotees who actually misinterpret this verse of Bhakti Samrit Sindhu. This is verse number 295. Seva sadhak rupena siddha rupena chatrahi tad bhava lipsuna karya vraja lokanusartah. So this describes the service in sadhak roop and siddha roop. So those devotees, specifically the sahajiyas, they misinterpret this particular verse. So how do they misinterpret? They don't actually follow the uh, external behavior as sadhak roop. They do internal also as siddha roop and externally also as siddha roop. So for example, you would see that some men will dress themselves in sadis, they will do makeup, they will behave like Roop Manjari or they will behave like a gopi. So that is something externally they try to imitate all these kind of things. And Rupanuga Raganuga Bhakti actually is meant for gradual progress towards bhava stage or towards prema stage. But another mistake these people do is they start understanding that they have become actually Roop Manjari. Their internal mood actually has become as perfect as Roop Manjari. So that is why they prematurely start to assume or behave like Roop Manjari, both externally and internally, which is something which is a big blunder they do. That is why these people are known as Sahajiyas. Sahajiya mean who take things cheaply, who take things very easily. Sahaj means easy, easy going. I hope that concept is clear, right?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, ji. Amanuga Bhakti is further divided into how many types? 5, 4, 3, 2. Correct answer?
Two, Prabhu.
Two, two.
Two Prabhuji.
2. So correct answer is D. What are those? Can you explain?
Sambhoga Ichamai and Tad Bhava Ichatmika.
Yeah, Tad Bhav Ikchatmika. Very nice. So Sambhog Ikchamahi actually is something where we directly, there is conjugal relationship with Krishna. So the gopis who are directly associating with the Lord. Hmm. And Tad Bhavekchatmika means those who are not directly associating with Lord Krishna, actually they are serving the gopis. So for example, Manjaris. So that is Tad Bhavekchamai. Tad Bhav Ikchatmika. That is the second type. Kamanuga Bhakti only for females. Kamanuga Bhakti is only a domain of those born with female bodies. True or false? Is it correct?
False Prabhuji.
False,
False.
false.
False. So how do you explain? How do you defend your answer? How
Prabhuji,
do you
there
defend
was
your?
an example when all
Mhm,
sages in Dandakaranya
mhm,
in the period of Ram.
mhm.
So
Yes.
they were so attracted towards the beauty of Lord
Uh-huh.
that they desired enjoyment with his form, and they
Yeah.
attained form of woman in
In
Gokula
Krishna Lila. In Krishna
subsequently.
Lila.
Krishna Lila.
Yeah. So it is not that it is only for ladies or females that Kamanuga Bhakti can be done, but men also can do it. And an example like Rakesh ji has mentioned, the sages of Dandakaranya. When they saw Lord Ram, they desired to enjoy in the same way in the conjugal relationship. So Lord fulfilled their desire in Krishna Lila. Two characteristics of Bhav Bhakti. What are the two characteristics of Bhav Bhakti? Unadulterated goodness. So now we have moved to chapter 17, right? We have moved to the chapter of Bhav Bhakti. What are the two characteristics of Bhav Bhakti? Unadulterated goodness, softening of the heart. Sattva guna, attraction for scriptures. Emotions, attraction for deity worship. Tears, shivering of body. Correct answer?
A.
A, Prabhuji.
A. So unadulterated goodness and softening of heart. So in Sanskrit, what do we call this? In Sanskrit, what do we call unadulterated goodness?
Shuddha Sattva.
Shuddha Sattva. Shuddha Sattva
Vishwatma.
Visheshatma. And softening of heart? What do we call softening of heart in Sanskrit? Chitta Masrinya. Chit Masrinya. Chitta Masrinya. That is softening of heart. Now we will discuss what is unadulterated goodness and softening of heart in later questions. Shuddha Sattva. What is Shuddha Sattva? Material mode of goodness which illuminates all the gates of the body with knowledge. Lord's internal potency, whose job is to revive Jiva's dormant love for the Lord. C. Material mode of passion which causes uncontrollable desire and hankering. D. Jiva's own intelligence which helps to decide between the right and wrong. Correct answer.
It's B, Prabhuji.
It is B. Lord's internal potency, whose job is to revive Jiva's dormant love for the Lord. So, Shuddha Sattva Vishesh Atma. Now, what happens in Bhava Bhakti is the Lord starts to Lord start to actually help us reach the Lord. So, Lord's internal potency, Antaranga Shakti, whose job is to revive Jiva's dormant love for the Lord. So, Lord now allows his internal potency to help the Jiva to come closer to him. The Lord observes how the Jiva has so nicely done his Vaidhi Sadhan Bhakti, Raganuga Sadhan Bhakti, etc. etc. And the Lord now is convinced that this particular Jiva is qualified to be come closer to me. So the Lord internal potency, Antaranga Shakti, whose job is to revive Jiva's dormant love for the Lord, it starts to manifest in the life of the devotee. So that is the Shuddha Sattva. Lord's internal potency, whose job is to revive Jiva's dormant love for the Lord. So by our own sadhana, by our own endeavor, the Jiva attracts this potency, internal potency of the Lord. That's how it happens. We will discuss few other ways. Shuddha Sattva's two Shaktis. Shuddha Sattva comprises of which two Shaktis of the Lord? Jiva Prakriti, Antaranga Bahiranga, Samvit Ahladini, Sattva and Rajas. So what are the two Shaktis that come as part of Shuddha Sattva?
C, Prabhuji.
C.
Correct answer is C. So what is Samvit Shakti?
Knowledge giving potency
Knowledge giving potency. What kind of knowledge? What is the nature
about
of this
Lord
knowledge?
Krishna. About
About
know
Lord
Krishna,
Krishna.
how to know Krishna.
About Lord Krishna, right? Very good.
Yeah.
And what is Ahladini Shakti?
It is a affectional potency, developing
Affectional
affection
potency.
towards the Lord. Yeah.
Affectional potency, right.
Potency.
So Ahladini Shakti means attraction, affection, love, attachment towards the Lord. So once the devotee has these two Shaktis where he or she knows about the Lord much more deeper and understand and appreciate and realize it, Another thing is attraction towards the Lord. There is a strong attraction towards the Lord. So that is called Ahladini Shakti. So both of these two Shaktis, they are part of Shuddha Sattva. So when this arises in the heart, the devotee becomes more and more attracted and more connected with the Lord. Softening of heart. What is meant by softening of the heart for a Bhav Bhakta? Soft heart is easily moved to tears. Soft heart is easily moved when one sees the plight of others. Soft heart is easily moved by Krishna conscious stimulation. Soft heart is the weakness of heart due to lust, anger, greed, pride, illusion, envy. What is the correct answer?
C, Prabhuji.
See,
Yes, so C is the right answer. Soft heart is easily moved by Krishna conscious stimulation. So Chitta Mashranya. So we discussed two characteristics of Bhakti. One was Shuddha Sattva, which we discussed Samvit Shakti, Ahladini Shakti, and then we discussed what does it mean by softening of the heart, Chitta Mashranya. Chitta Mashranya means that when you get or when the devotee Bhav Bhakta gets any stimulation, Krishna conscious stimulation. Uh, Technical term for Krishna conscious stimulation is Uddipan. You will read this in the another say from chapter 20 onwards, that stimulation, various type of stimulation. So that Uddipan, for example, uh, like generally a mother will love her son or child, or the mother will love the child, but that love remains generally in the background in the mother. However, the moment the mother sees the face of the child, that love actually comes to the surface. The love becomes intense. So that is stimulation. That is called Uddipan. Soft heart is easily moved by Krishna conscious stimulation. So, for example, a Bhav Bhakta, when he would enter the temple and would see the devotee, sorry, when would see the deity of the Lord. So, just by looking at the deity of the Lord, that softening of the heart, it will start to manifest some emotions like tears or trembling of the body. Those kind of emotions will manifest in the body of the devotee, Bhava Bhakta. So these are stimulations, specific stimulations that uh, easily moves the heart to emotions. Elevation to the stage of bhav. What are the possible ways for elevation to the stage of bhav? By sincere and dedicated sadhana, by the mercy of Krishna or his devotee, both A and B, by Gyan and Vairagya. Correct answer?
C, Prabhuji. Both A and B.
Both A and B. Very good. And so we were discussing this by sincere and dedicated sadhana. This is the typical way of achieving the stage of bhav. This is very rare. By the mercy of Krishna or his devotee, this path is very rare. So the correct answer is both A and B. Bhav bhakti by Krishna's mercy. Development of bhav bhakti by Krishna's mercy or his devotee's mercy is normal and can happen very often. I mean, we just discussed this. True and false. So what is the correct answer?
false.
False.
False. So not very easy to get Krishna's mercy and devotee's mercy. But when the devotee does very nice sadhana, a very strict sadhana, then by doing that sadhana, the devotee actually attracts Lord's mercy, and the devotee actually can elevate himself or herself to the bhava stage. That uh, internal potency, that Shuddha Sattva, consisting of Samvit and Ahladini Shakti, is start to manifest in the heart of the devotee. External symptoms sufficient? A good, important question. External symptoms like tears, shivering are sufficient evidence to ascertain that a devotee has achieved bhav bhakti. True or false?
False,
False.
Prabhuji.
This is false. Huh? So external symptoms are not sufficient. And why are not they sufficient? Rakesh ji, can you explain?
Prabhuji, Some actor can do it.
Yeah, Amitabh Bachchan, Shah Rukh Khan, they can move to tears, act like shivering of their body. Does not mean that they are bhav bhaktas,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Okay. Any other example? Any other? So actors can do it, and what else?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, Jamala Mataji. Yes.
A genuine Bhav Bhakta would not
Uh-huh.
like to advertise his
Bhav bhakti.
Bhav
Yeah,
Bhakti.
yeah.
So
So
these
a
are the two
genuine,
reasons. Yes.
yeah, these are
Thank
the
you.
two reasons. Yeah. So a genuine bhav bhakta, he would or she would not like to publicly advertise the emotions, tears or trembling or choking of the voice. They would try to hide it. So how would you know who is the bhav bhakta? How would you identify? So external symptoms are not the accurate measurement. So Rup Goswami gave more symptoms. We will discuss some of those. And one of the symptom is utilization of time by bhav bhakta, avyartha kalatvam. How a devotee at the stage of bhava utilizes his time, offer their complete lives to the Lord. They dedicate themselves full time in the service of the Lord on festival days only. They allocate a good part of their time doing devotional activities. They make it a point that they visit the nearby temple at least once in a week. So correct answer is
A, Prabhuji.
correct answer is A. Offer their complete lives to the Lord. So that is the level of dedication and devotion of Bhava Bhakta. They completely dedicate their lives for the service of the Lord.
But still feel dissatisfied because they offer themselves completely to Hari.
Yeah,
And this incompleteness on their part is a stimulus enough to continue working for it. I think that's
yeah,
the reason they keep on and on and on.
yeah. So one of the nature of the love is never to feel satisfied.
Yes, yes, yes,
So
Prabhu.
there is no limit of loving someone. There is no limit. So it is difficult to quantify uh, that somebody is loving someone to what degree or to what extent they are loving. So the lover never feels satisfied that they're loving their object of love enough. So
Yes,
so the maximum they can do externally, they can offer their lives completely to the Lord. They are
right.
all for him, always.
Yes, Prabhu.
So this is avyartha kalatvam, the Sanskrit word. Then 25th is King Bharat was detached to the sense objects just as dash. One gives up stool after evacuating, one leaves behind hair after cutting them, one forgets about their nails after cutting them, all of the above. What is the correct answer?
A,
A,
Prabhuji.
Prabhu.
So this is third item, virakti, detachment. So this is coming from Srimad Bhagavatam. King Bharat gave up his wife, children, friends, and empire just as one gives up stool after evacuating. It was easy for him because he was fond of serving the Lord. So that is the nature of detachment or virakti in the Bhava Bhakta. One gives up stool after evacuating. So this is the analogy that they have given in Srimad Bhagavatam. A very very graphic analogy. You can feel the intensity of detachment when you read that analogy.
Prabhuji, can we say it is hatred or dislike also? Detachment here also, I think, can is parallel to sort of hating something which you don't like or something very obnoxious. The example of stool here is, I think, it points towards that also. So it is a detachment or it can be some kind of dislike also.
No, it is not hatred. It is not hatred for sure, because hatred is not a devotional quality. And in
Okay.
Bhava Bhakta, that kind of an emotion is not. If a Bhava Bhakta has that kind of emotion towards their family members, that will not be a bhava bhakta in the strictest sense. That is not a bhava bhakta. So what it means is, uh, uh, say there is a definite, there is a explanation given here. Detachment does not mean artificially keeping oneself apart from allurements. Artificial keeping oneself apart from allurements, that is not detachment. Real detachment is to remain unattracted even in the presence of such allurements. In the initial stages, a devotee must try to stay away from alluring attachments, but a mature devotee is not attracted even in the presence of material allurements. So, as I mentioned to you, it is not hatred or dislike. It is something like uh, not having, uh, say, blind attachment with the family. Blind
Right.
attachment, when I give you the example of blind attachment, means uh, Duryodhan and Dhritarashtra. Duryodhan and Dhritarashtra, if you see the relationship, Dhritarashtra was blindly attached to Duryodhan. If
Yes.
Duryodhan would make any mischief, Dhritarashtra will tolerate it, or will actually not say anything, because simply because he is my son, I won't do anything negative to my son. And a more positive example of is maybe a father, when the son does not do well in the exams or start to become careless, the father actually chastises the son. uh, or for example, like Arjuna, when he was fighting the battle of Kurukshetra, he was getting attached to his guru and his grandfather Bhishma, and that is why he was disinterested in fighting the battle. But detachment would mean that irrespective of whether it is Bhishma Pitama, or whether it is Guru Drona, because it is my duty as a Kshatriya, I have to do that. I have to take that action. I have to do my duty. So that is actually real detachment. So here, when the right time came, Bharat Maharaj actually renounced the kingdom, and then at that time he did not thought of whether what will happen to my wife, what will happen to my kingdom, what will happen to my children. So anyway, the life is going to end. One day life is going to end. Anyway, wife, children, kingdom, wealth, property, everything is going to be uh, taken away from us by this uh, word called death. Death will one day take away all of these things. So a wise person is that person who timely retires, engages himself or herself in devotional activities, develop attraction towards the Lord, and that's what it means here. It does not mean hatred. It has a sense of duty. When we say detachment, it has a sense of duty towards the Lord. That is more overpowering.
Yes, true, Prabhuji, but my objection was only to this example, which to my mind is not very appropriate to
Yeah,
describe
yeah. Now
detachment.
in this example is, what value do we assign to the stool after we evacuate? I mean, certainly there is an obnoxious aspect also to it. It is filthy, it is foul smelling. That is one part of it, but uh, that is not the way it is trying to explain it to us. The idea is the material value of that stool for the person who has evacuated. It is, it has nothing. He won't bother about it. He won't bother about it in any way.
Right,
So in that sense, you need to read it, not in
right,
terms of hatred or dislike.
right,
Material value of stool, it has nothing. You don't bother about it at all. That is the idea.
right.
Okay.
Prabhuji, can I add one thing in this?
Yes, Prabhuji, yes.
See, the word operative word is sense objects. our problem in life is we are all attracted to sense objects to a greater or lesser extent. So Bharata treats sense objects just like we treat stool. And that is how I think the comparison for him, the sense objects are the same as a valuable, which is materially valuable for us. He treats it like we treat stool. That's what I understood.
Okay. Yeah. Yes, Prabhuji, I think what you are saying is correct. So, like I just mentioned, and Prabhuji is also, I think, saying something similar. It has to be taken in terms of material value.
Yes, uselessness, you can say.
Uselessness,
Something
yes.
useless.
Useless, correct.
You throw
You
it
won't,
away as
you,
useless.
yeah,
Yes,
we won't want to store that stool. Okay. Uh,
quite.
Sometimes we receive some goods, and
Yes,
when we utilize the roots, the packing we like to keep.
right.
Uh, so at least some value we assign to the packing. Okay, later on we can use it. But when we evacuate, we don't actually assign any value to the stool. Nowadays people actually assign some value to the stool also by making biogas, etc. But
Yes,
but in Bhagavatam times, I don't think there was need of biogas. So that analogy was given.
yes,
Yeah.
right, right.
Okay. Pridelessness of bhav bhakta, man shunyata. Emperor Bhagirath, though a great king, became a mendicant and dash from his enemies and offered dash to the dog eaters. Begged respects, expected food protection, requested mercy donation.
Option A.
Option A is the correct answer. So Bhagirath begged from the enemies and offered respects to the dog eaters. So Bhagirath was an emperor. Emperor is even more than a king. So king of kings is known as emperor. But this Bhagirath Maharaj, when he became a mendicant, he would even be willing to beg from the enemies. Why? Because begging is actually not a very reputed or a respectable job. You get insulted uh, every time when you go and beg. It is not a very uh, actually respectful job. And so begging from enemies are always inimical to you. And if you are going and begging from the enemies, that is certainly a very difficult task. But a bhav bhakta is so deeply connected with the Lord that he can tolerate that kind of insult even from the enemies, and offered respects to the dog eaters. So dog eaters means chandal. So in the Vedic varnashram system, dog eaters are actually not even part of the varnas. They are outcasts. Those who eat dog and those who indulge in all these kind of abominable activities, they are expected to live separately in the society. uh, actually the more cultured people in the society don't want to come in connection with these kind of people, because they are so bad and those so filthy in their habits of food, their living, their interaction between the various genders, etc. They would not be very reputed people. So Bhagirath ji would even offer respects to these low class people like dog eaters. So that is the nature of bhav bhakta. Because he's so much intensely, deeply in the mood of bhava, in the mood of happiness, because of that shuddha sattva. So he tried to share what is there in the heart. In his heart there is joy, and that joy he wants to share with everyone. So be it a dog eater, be it a brahmana, be it a president or whoever, that's how he behaves. Identify qualities of bhav bhakta. From the following options, identify those qualities which are found in one who has developed bhav. Now, more than one option may be correct. Tolerance or perseverance, taste for chanting Krishna's names, attachment to discuss Krishna's qualities, love for Krishna's abode Vrindavan. Correct answer.
Answers B, C, and D.
All four,
All of
B,
Prabhuji, ABCD.
all four.
All ABCD.
all four. So yes, I think all four are correct. Tolerance or perseverance means kshanti. Taste for chanting Krishna's name means nam gane sada ruchi. Attachment to discuss Krishna's quality is asaktis tad gunakhyane, and love for Krishna's abode Vrindavan pritis tad vasati sthale. So there were 9 qualities given, and through this quiz, I have tried to cover 7 of them. The 2 others that I did not cover were Asha Bandha and Samutkantha. Asha Bandha means hope and confidence in Krishna's mercy. Samutkantha means longing for Lord's service. So correct answer is A, B, C, and D. So all four are correct in this. Thank you very much. Ratyabhas. How Ratyabhas is destroyed? By not remembering the Lord, by committing offense at the lotus feet of pure devotees, by losing patience, by artificially thinking of Krishna. Correct answer is
B, Prabhu.
B. By committing offense at the lotus feet of pure devotees. Okay. So, Jivan Prabhu, would you like to briefly explain to the class what is Ratyabhas? I could not prepare many questions on Ratyabhas. There could be at least 2-3 questions that could be prepared, but the quiz was getting long, so I could not prepare it. But I want to discuss this topic of Ratyabhas in general so that we don't miss on the concept. What is Ratyabhas? What is Abhas? Abhas means what?
Just immediately.
I think it has something to do with Rati, something that
Yes,
resembles Rati.
something that resembles Rati, but actually it is not Rati.
Yes, yes.
It
It's a
resembles
mimicry.
Rati like imitation jewelry.
Yes, yes, yes.
Like imitation jewelry, it looks like nice jewelry, but it is actually not pure gold, isn't it? So similarly,
Yes.
Ratyabhas. So Rati is same as Bhav. We discussed this in the class, right? Rati is same as Bhav. So in Bhav, there are some emotions are there, tears, trembling of voice, some emotions are there. Full manifestation of these emotions actually come in Prema stage, but in Bhav stage, some emotions are can be seen. Now, these emotions like tear, trembling of voice, etc., shivering in the body, sometimes we can see these emotions in non-devotees also, or neophyte devotees also. Neophyte means beginners.
Yes.
Huh? why why does it happen? Because sometimes these people will associate with pure devotees, and when they will associate with pure devotees, the rati in the heart of pure devotees actually starts to reflect in the heart of these neophyte devotees, or maybe say non-devotees. They will start to reflect in their heart, and they also start to feel those kind of emotions similar to rati. So that is why it
Yes.
is known as ratyabhas. And we discussed 2 types of ratyabhas. One is pratibimba ratyabhas, and the second one was chhaya ratyabhas. So pratibimba ratyabhas means uh, when these devotees who actually have desire for fruitive results, enjoyment, or maybe they have desire for liberation, they start to manifest these symptoms of rati. But that is called pratibimba ratyabhas. Chhaya ratyabhas is something when some people who out of social custom, they engage in some devotional activities. So they also start to show these symptoms of rati. So the idea is, when we were discussing about bhava bhakti, we discussed about ratyabhas because sometimes, because Rup Goswami want to tell us that sometimes while doing our bhakti also, we might get some tears, or we might become a little more emotional, our voice might tremble, etc. But that does not mean that we have become bhava bhaktas. So that does not mean that. It can happen because the purity of the pure devotee actually is now getting reflected through our heart, and that is why we are getting those kind of emotions. So uh, that is the reason why this topic was discussed, and I could not make any questions on this just to keep the quiz a little bit short, which was already going overboard. Now coming to the 29th question. What is the primary characteristics of Prem Bhakti? When bhava becomes extremely condensed, when the heart softens completely, when there is extreme possessiveness for Lord Krishna, when a ray of prema first appears on the heart. Correct answer is
A, Prabhu.
A.
yeah, yeah. So correct answer is A. When bhava becomes extremely condensed. And what is wrong with B and C? What is wrong with B and C?
These are secondary characteristics, Prabhuji.
These are secondary characteristics. So one
Heart
is Swarup,
softens. uh,
huh. One is Swarup Lakshana, Mukhya Lakshana, primary characteristic, and the other two B and C are actually Gauna Lakshana, Tatastha Lakshana, secondary characteristics. Very good, Prabhuji. Very nice. Which emotion more advanced? Which emotion is more advanced? I am Krishna's or Krishna is mine? I am Krishna's, Krishna is mine.
Good
Both are
question.
equal. Sometimes one emotion is more advanced, sometimes the other is more advanced. So correct answer is,
B, Prabhuji.
the correct answer is Krishna is mine. So that is, these are the two. So mamatva, mamata. So the devotee now say having this emotion, I am Krishna's also is a very exalted emotion. Uh, when we say that I belong to Krishna, that is also a very strong emotion. But in the stage of prema bhakti, uh, the relationship is so intense that the devotee starts to have possessiveness of Krishna, that Krishna is mine. Nothing should happen to Krishna. Krishna should not become tired. Krishna should not have any problem in his life. We are all there to serve Krishna. Even there is a little headache in Krishna's head, we are there to help and support Krishna, to massage his head. Even whatever we may have to do, we are willing to do to satisfy Lord Krishna. That is the mood. So Krishna is mine. Like Mother Yashoda. Mother Yashoda, when she hears that Krishna is stealing butter, Krishna is doing all kind of mischiefs, so she becomes very very concerned. Say, if this is going to be my boy, uh, uh, what will people say about us? It will reflect very badly upon the parents if the boy is doing like this. So she had so much possessiveness for Krishna that she would actually take the stick and want to punish Krishna. Who can punish the Lord? Even a Vedi sadhan bhakta like us, if we are thinking, Krishna, we will punish you, that will be a great offense to think something like this for the Lord. But in Prema Bhakti, the relationship is so intense, uh, and this is devoid of any kind of hatred or any kind of other negative feelings. The devotee starts to think that Krishna is actually mine. That is the strong emotion is there in Prema Bhakti. Mamatva. Ways to achieve Prema Bhakti. How to achieve Prema Bhakti? Choose best option. By maturation of bhava, by Lord's extraordinary mercy, both A and B, by regular chanting of the holy names of the Lord. Correct answer.
Both A and B.
Both A and B. Correct, Prabhuji. Very nice. So, like we saw, how to achieve bhava bhakti? By doing proper sadhan bhakti. And the second option was by Lord's mercy and by Lord's devotee's mercy. Similar is there in Prema Bhakti. The only change is by maturation of bhava. So ultimately it boils down to sadhan bhakti only. Do your sadhan bhakti very nicely. You will attract the mercy of the Lord, internal potency, Shuddha Sattva. And then from bhava bhakti, the path to Prema Bhakti is natural. It leads to Prema Bhakti by itself. Because once the sun has arisen, in the heart, the ray of sun has arisen, the ray of prema has arisen in the heart, the it will not take much time for the full sun to arise on the sky. Both A and B.
Prabhuji, I have some doubt on this. At
Yes.
least the when you say it is the B is also correct. See, if you look at the question, how to achieve prema bhakti, choose
Huh.
the best option.
Huh.
Where is the option? Lord's extraordinary mercy is not our option. Our option is only Vadi bhakti.
Yeah, yeah.
I think we are reading too much into it.
Yeah, you are right, Prabhuji. Practically, you are right, but I am simply trying to revise you as per the syllabus. So that is why I am making these questions,
Right,
just to
right. Okay.
cover the point.
So my
It is.
answer A was because of this feeling, because you are asking for the best option, and option
Uh,
is something which you can do, contribute, or something. If something is not in your control, then it cannot be
but
your option.
how to achieve prema bhakti?
Is
It is
it the
the question is not how to practically. What is the most practical way to achieve prema bhakti? Choose the best option. It is how to achieve prema bhakti. Choose the best option.
okay? Theoretically, it's all right, but sounds little
No, no,
incongruent when we
yeah,
are
yeah.
talking of choosing something.
No.
Actually,
Yeah.
that is the advanced stage of bhakti, you know. This is the topmost stage. Definitely, one definitely should have Lord's mercy also. I feel both the options A and B look to be correct. I mean,
Yeah. Theoretically, yes, both are correct. But what Ishwar Prabhu is saying that for all practical reason, uh, option A by maturation of bhava. It is not that Lord Krishna's mercy everyone will get. It is very rare. So in order to respond to Ishwarji, I just mentioned the question actually is how to achieve prema bhakti. The question is not how to achieve prema bhakti in the most practical way,
Right,
uh,
that's
or
right.
or or most like how to achieve prema, how to most likely way of achieving prema bhakti. So in that case, you can say by maturation of bhava.
प्रभु जी वैसे तो भगवान का नाम लेने के लिए भी भगवान की मर्जी चाहिए प्रभु जी
हाँ वो तो है yeah, but here the idea is or the objective is to revise the book, the content of the books, so not to read too much or too creative on answering these questions.
actually, there are 5 factors involved in any achieving anything according to Bhagavad Gita's 18th chapter. So, this Lord's mercy also is a must. Whatever we do, you know, that if it has to materialize,
but there is a
Lord's mercy is a must.
yeah,
According to
there is a
Bhagavad
difference.
Gita also.
There is a difference, Prabhu.
Yeah.
There is a difference between, say, there are two students. One is studying in 5th grade in a school, and the second student is a student of PhD. He has not yet received PhD. So the the one who receives a doctorate degree, one person who is studying in 5th grade received a doctorate degree, but another one is who is doing PhD, who is making all the effort, write his thesis, do all the hard work, and then he is getting PhD degree. So there's a difference. So when we talk about Lord's extraordinary mercy, so Lord's extraordinary mercy means that you were 5th grade student of a standard 5, and you got PhD degree. Just you got PhD degree from today onwards, you are doctor so and so. And the other one who is studying in PhD classes, he's not getting PhD degree. But that is mean extraordinary mercy. Certainly, you are right that everything happens with the Lord's sanction. So maturation of bhava, from bhava to prema bhakti, also needs mercy of the Lord. But here the mercy of the Lord is coming on the devotee who actually endeavored so much. But here, when we talk about Lord's extraordinary mercy, we are talking of such a devotee who actually just started. Yesterday he started chanting or going to the temple and received prema bhakti. That is extraordinary mercy.
Special honor to the devotee
Yeah, yeah.
from the Lord. Yes,
So like a beggar on the street, a
yes,
beggar on
yes.
the street. Uh, uh, Next day, I mean, you he goes and beg on the street, and you give him your half your properties, make him a multi-billionaire. Or
Yes,
Dhirubhai Ambani or Anil Ambani or maybe Mukesh Ambani is walking on the street and a beggar comes. He says that, okay, I'll give you 50% of my property. That is called extraordinary mercy. But someone who uh, worked hard, rise to the various stages of bhakti, uh, anartha nivritti, then ruchi, or and maybe nishtha, ruchi, and then progress like that. That is maturation of bhava. Sadhan bhakti to maturation of bhava to prema bhakti. That is the normal course. Okay, coming to the last one. Generally, prema is achieved only by ardent practice, not by sudden stroke of mercy. Identify the correct order starting from beginning, how prema is evolved. So we will, what is the first stage?
Shraddha.
Yes,
Shraddha.
Prabhuji.
Second stage,
Sadhu
Sadhu.
Sangha,
sadhu sangha. Third stage,
Bhajan Kriya.
Bhajana Kriya,
bhajan kriya. Fourth stage,
Anartha
Anartha
Nivritti.
anartha nivritti. Fifth stage,
Nishtha.
Nishtha.
nishtha. Very good. Sixth stage,
Ruchi.
Ruchi.
Ruchi. Seventh stage,
Asakti,
Asakti.
asakti. Eighth stage,
Bhava.
Bhava.
bhava. And ninth stage is prema.
Prema.
So these 9 stages we should remember by heart. Later on, when we read Bhagavatam, which we will start the next week, in Bhagavatam also, whatever hard work the devotees have done by reading Bhagavad Gita, by reading Nectar of Instruction, Nectar of Devotion, Ushopnishad, it is all going to help you, assist you, aid you in your study of Srimad Bhagavatam. So we will finish now. I hope that was useful discussion. Uh, any questions or any doubts? Maybe we can discuss now. Or if no questions, no doubts, we then meet next Sunday with an introductory class on Srimad Bhagavatam.
मुझे एक थोड़ा सा वैसे डाउट ही है और आई
बताइए।
कांट से मोर देन दैट, वो ये है कि ये जो गोपीज द लव बिटवीन गोपीज एंड लॉर्ड कृष्णा जो
हाँ
डिपिक्ट
जी,
किया गया है और
हाँ जी,
जिसकी वजह से मिसअंडरस्टैंडिंग होती है, लोगों को मौका मिलता है
हाँ,
कि भाई योर गॉड्स वर लाइक दिस लाइक दैट, so उसको can't we modify, because it is, I don't think it is very essential that we must tell gopis and his kama and all those things. I think we can understand even similarly, suppose good relations can give as much a good interpretation. We need not go to kama and all those sort of embracing and all those things, and why females are brought in specifically. So that is, I feel that if we can somehow do away with the or stop stressing on that kind of thing which gives handle to people to beat us in our culture. Hinduism, they say it is all about Krishna. People can talk so much without
yeah,
any reason. Yes.
yeah. So I see, Prabhuji, the way acharyas have explained, uh, I don't have the liberty or freedom or actually authority to change that, first of all. And the
Search
second
and
thing is,
yes.
yeah, the second thing is, this is the best way we can explain to people. And the major reason why people don't understand these things is because of their illiteracy, I would say, the way it is to be understood. And this is one of the purposes of the classes like this, to is to give people a proper understanding of these kind of subject matter. even within our class also there were many people or many devotees who did not have a proper understanding of these relationships. So the best way is to give them proper education, and then some people will accept, some people will don't accept. That will always be there, because this prema bhakti, this is a very exalted subject matter. So uh, even people coming to devotional service or life of devotion are very few, and even within that realm, within that population, uh, people achieving those kind of exalted stages is also much less. Like Lord Krishna even mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. So uh, Sahasranam, what was that verse in seventh? I think in seventh chapter, Sahasranam, Yogi Nam. Uh, I think there's a verse, I think in seventh chapter in the beginning, where it says that out of thousand, only one become interested in spiritual life, and out of thousand of those who become interested in spiritual life, only few come to me. That is the ratio. So it is going to be like that, because people who are interested in spiritual life will be very few.
Can I read that shloka?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhuji.
Manusyanam sahasreshu kaschid yati siddhyate
Ha,
siddhye
kasyati yatati
yatataamapi
siddhati.
yatataamapi siddhanam kaschin mam vetti tatvata.
Yeah. So Manushyanam Sahasreshu Kasyad Yatati Siddhaye. So among the human beings, 1,000 human beings, only few will become interested to become Siddhas. Siddhas means purified. And among those who want to
Yatataamapi
be Siddhanam, Yatataamapi
yatataamapi
Siddhanam.
kaschin mam vetti tatvata.
And among those Siddhas, only few will actually come to me. So that will be the ratio going to be in this world. So the best way to increase the number is to preach this message to many people, and everyone in this class can become a preacher. You have now taken a very systematic understanding of the subject matter. You can all always start your own programs, own classes. Probably you are already doing some kind of preaching to your own family members, friends, maybe not in a very formal way but informal way, but that is how it begins. We become convinced, and then we want to make others also convinced. That intensity within us actually grows stronger and stronger day by day, and one day we want that, okay, we need to tell this message to everyone. That's how the preaching work will start, and that's the mandate of Srila Prabhupada, ISKCON society, Sankirtan movement in general, that we reach out to as many people, because this is how people can be benefited genuinely and sincerely. They cannot become benefited by government policies, schemes of welfare, and so on. Ultimately, what people are lacking at the moment is hunger of the heart. And hunger of the heart is not satisfied by food, by clothing, by shelter, by money. Hunger of the heart actually is solved by giving them genuine love. And genuine love can only come from Krishna. That is what we need to, or Krishna's devotees, who will genuinely want to be the agency of Lord's love. So this is that science of love, bhakti, not an easy science, as you would have experienced now. As easy in the sense that if you simply hear Shravanam and Kirtanam, you continue to do nicely, it is easy. You can achieve that stage. But understanding this science, like it has been explained in Bhakti Samrat Sindhu, etc., might be a little bit of a challenge. That's what I wanted to say. So, with that, we'll take permission and close this discussion. I hope it was useful. Please join for the inaugural class of Srimad Bhagavatam next Sunday. Thank you very much.
Prabhuji, it's the same link. You are going
Sorry?
to use the same link for the Bhagavatam class?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, same link.
Thank you. Because
Okay.
I'm going to inform some of my relatives and my brothers,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
they
I
may
also.
join.
Yeah, please. I am also expecting our lost students from previous classes to join in Bhagavatam. But the the 13, 14 people who have been coming in this class actually are, I would say, we'll give them a pat on their back, everyone, with folded hands. They are all very wonderful devotees that who took so much time and effort to go through this book, Bhakti Samrat Sindhu. I hope you would have enjoyed it. I personally enjoyed it very much, presenting it to you.
Now you are
Especially-
going to use the which book you are going to use for Bhagavatam?
Prabhu, we will discuss all these things in the classes.
Thank you.
But in general, I would be using Srimad Bhagavatam commentaries by Prabhupada, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, our founder acharya. He has written commentaries. It's a 18-volume book, 18 books of Srimad Bhagavatam. So if you want to purchase, you can purchase it from Amazon. But we will cover all these topics: which book, how to do it, everything in the classes. Don't
But
worry.
it will be in English.
English.
Thank
The
you.
classes will be in English.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we will have separate classes in Hindi for our Hindi devotees. So there will be a repeat after 1.5 years. So our Hindi devotees now will be studying Ishopanishad. So 6 months Ishopanishad they will study. Then 6 months they will study Nectar of Instruction. Then 6 months they will study Nectar of Devotion. Like this, after 1.5 years, it will start in Hindi, Bhagavatam. Yeah. So please feel free to invite for Bhagavatam classes whoever you
Okay.
want to invite.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Okay.
Hey,
Thank you very
thank you.
much.
Thank you.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna ji. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare
Hare Krishna.